Good morning, everybody. How's everybody doing this morning? Got an interesting little episode of the podcast this morning. That's right, Sam, you ready to play some ball? I see you. I got slapped with some mandatory overtime this weekend. So I'm going to have to go into work Friday night. And then get off work and basically go straight to the ball field. Bear with me for just a second here. Yes, I mean, it's going to be a little bit of an adventure. So, NSA State ended up not making for Brian and the guys. So, he's going to come and at least pitch the first two games. And then from there, I'll figure it out. I'm going to have to work all weekend. Hey, Eric, what's up? What's going on, buddy? So I'm going to have to work. I'll go in Friday night and then get off Saturday morning at 7:30. Our first game is at 9, so I'm probably just going to go straight to the field. Try to catch maybe a little bit of a nap or depending on how I feel. But I got Brian coming to pitch the first two games because I'm going to have to go back into work that night. So just to make me not feel like a complete train wreck, I'm going to at least have him pitch the first couple of games because he and I work in the same we have the same job. We work in the same department. He works second shift and I work third shift. So he'll have time to pitch the first two. And then if we split our pool, then we play at 1:40 and he's got to be at work at 3:30. So I don't want to run him that close. So I will take over from there. But at least that's two games I don't have to pitch. So maybe I won't be as exhausted when I get to work. We'll see how it all pans out. It's going to be an adventure of a day. John, so it's mandatory overtime, so there's no getting out of it. There's no getting out of it. We're in back order, really, really, really bad. A lot of money in back order. So it's just kind of one of those. I kind of knew this might be coming when I put this team together and I signed us up. I kind of figured that this might happen, but I live about a half hour from work and the ball field, and the ball field is 10-ish minutes from work, so I kind of knew what I was getting myself into here, that this might happen, and my guys are good. I got a good team. I got a great squad this weekend. And my guys are going to take care of me so we can get her done. Let me go ahead. Let's see. Is anybody else playing anywhere this weekend? What's everybody doing? What's up, Snacks? How you doing? Did you get up on your vacation day just to listen to the podcast? Look at you. Let's see. So I can turn this off. And bear with me for just a minute here, guys. I'm going to mute you for just a second so you don't have to listen to the struggle here. It shouldn't be but just a minute or two. Hello, is he there?
Yeah, I'm here.
It's the man himself.
I don't know about that, but
Oh, quit it. Say hello to YouTube, Bob Russell.
hey, what's up, YouTube? The evil one coming at you.
Killing the intros, of course. So we got that all lined out. We were having some technical difficulties. I had everybody on standby, but we got it figured out, thankfully.
Yeah, man. Well, listen, I'm really glad to be here. You do a lot of good things for a lot of people out there. People trying to get reads on bats and equipment, and it's a great thing that you do for all these people. And I caught on with you early, and I'm really pleased to try to help you, get the message out for people.
Dude, it's been an adventure over the years. I'll say that. It's
well, it's lucky. I'm glad that being a part of the business, you get to run across some quality people at times, and I do appreciate that. That's one of the benefits of being part of the business, is some of the relationships and some of the nice and quality people that you run by.
Yeah, and that's been kind of the fun part of doing this whole thing. It seems like I'm always talking about back in the old softball fans days. There used to be a good group of guys, a big niche of guys on there that were all about trying to help each other out and do that kind of thing. And that community's still out there, but it's not as big as it used to be. But man, softball fans was booming back in the day when stuff like that was going on.
Yeah, I mean, we had some great people, and we had some epic battles, some epic trolling battles back in the day. It was hilarious, and I'll be honest with you, I kind of played a bit of a persona there that really wasn't me. It was just having fun and goofing with people. But the people that do know me know that I really do care about the people in the business and the people that use our product.
Oh yeah, and sometimes, man, the little bit of the persona and just being able to stir the pot just makes things like that much better too. It's stirring the pot was half the fun sometimes. It really was, especially on softball fans.
Come on, dude. I think I was like top pot stirrer there for a while. It was like just anytime I got into something, it was dropping gas in a fire, and and the thing was is that it really didn't mean anything to me. So some people, they got so passionate about it and so worked up about it, but to me it was really kind of a joke. So I would just laugh and just egg them on even worse, and just say stuff just to inflame things.
Yeah, 100%.
It was just great. It was great. I guess I just knew, I was like, it was like fishing for bass, just twitching that top water on the surface, waiting for them to blow up on it.
Yeah. That was sometimes half the fun. I mean, you could sit there and be chuckling to yourself as you're typing something, just knowing that somebody's going to have a fit.
Well, and then it started to get to me. Like I would wake up at 2:30 in the morning just for whatever reason, and I'd run out to my computer to see, oh shit, they must have responded to this. and you'd see all the drunk text responses from these people that didn't make any sense at all. And I was just chuckling.
Dude, hey, the lounge was a dark place, especially at night.
Oh my God.
Especially,
but, and I don't know if it's a bad thing or a good thing, but I mean, Facebook has kind of it's like spread out the people so much. It's all fractionated now to the point where there isn't really a big like one-stop place to reach a lot of people anymore. It's so it's all like broken up into different Facebook groups and such. So it's not quite as easy to reach the masses as it used to be and have a big group of people to get fired up.
Yeah, and like that is one thing that I do genuinely believe, that the Facebook groups and the Facebook pages and everything was kind of the demise of the Softball Fans Forum. Now, granted, it is still active. I will say that I'm not on there hardly at all anymore. But when the groups and everything started taking off, was kind of when the Softball Fans Forum kind of started dying off. Everybody was it was kind of the Wild West there for a little while when it came to people like posting bats for sale on Facebook, and then they would try their same antics on softball fans, and softball fans being who they were, is throwing stones at them and shooing them out of there because they wanted nothing but the good guys around. And I think it kind of ended up biting them in the butt a little bit. But
I mean, softball fans was great. You could buy so many bats, and I would just wait till the winter. You wait till like October, November, and you could just get some screaming deals on bats and whatever you wanted. It was like every different kind of bat would show up for sale there, and it was really a great way to get something that you were looking for at a good price. Or if you were, I never really was much into flipping different bats for profit type thing. I would buy something that I wanted to hit, but if that's what you were into, man, there was a lot of stuff. Like you could buy something there for $100 and sell it in your league for $200, and no one would say anything because they didn't know about softball fans, and it wasn't like Facebook and the way things are broken up like that in there. Same thing in advertising that I see now for my other business. You used to be big on radio and TV to run your ads, but now it's also fractionated by, internet TV, radio stations and Pandora and other things that your local broadcast isn't worth anything like it used to be.
No, and it's kind of crazy. Now, I'm even seeing like local, like when I watch YouTube even now, you see local ads, you're running on YouTube as well. It's just, there's nothing for, your local TV stations and things like that anymore. They still run their ads and stuff. Obviously, they have commercials all the time, but it's just nothing to the magnitude that it used to be, It's all the...
Oh, yeah. I mean, it's like I say, it's so spread out now that we don't even, my other business is in pest control, obviously, since I'm Bobby Bugs. But but yeah, we used to spend a ton on the local Springfield market radio stations, and we don't even advertise there anymore because there's just no one listening to the on-air live local broadcast anymore. It's all, like I say, Sirius XM and Pandora and Spotify and YouTube music. And, I'm guilty of popping up in your YouTube feed if you were in my market, because that's where we moved our advertising. Is we moved some of it to what we call, retargeting advertising. So when you get paid for the ads that run in some of your stuff, and it could be one of my ads if the relevance is there.
Yeah.
For
if it's somebody in your area watching my video, it'll absolutely show up. So, we're talking about this a little bit. Let's kind of give some of the people a little bit of a background here. You obviously do more than, you are just more than the man of Evil Sports. What's Bob Russell do day in and day out, and what kind of led you to getting to the world of making softballs?
Well, so I'm a really weird combination of stuff. I'm a very technical person. I'm actually a board certified entomologist, which is the study of insects. And I work in a long family heritage of pest management industry here in New England, where I own an exterminating firm that covers 2 states as the 4th generation. So it's kind of unique in that a lot of businesses don't stay in a family that long.
Sure.
But I've always been this brand junkie guy. And we're talking about back in the 80s where, I always was into the brand stuff, and I thought it would be cool to have my own brand. I always wanted to know, how did brands get started and that kind of thing. So back in the day, there was a brand called Body Glove. Okay. And it was it was surf gear, but it had a cool logo. And it was yellow and black, and it had this handprint. It was a cool logo. And I had that on the back of my car, and different little cool brand stickers on the back of my car in the 80s. And back when No Fear, I don't even know if you know that.
Oh, yeah.
But I mean, what was that? Nobody even knew.
No, I mean, hey, I'm from the Midwest, man. I'm telling you that those stickers were on big jacked up trucks. They were on Geo Metros. They were on Camaros. They were on station wagons.
Because it was cool.
Yeah, nobody knew what it meant.
Nobody knew what it meant. This is like the imagery, the logo, the branding, and but no one even knew what it was about. Nor did I. In fact, I had those stickers on my snowboards in the 90s.
The equivalent to those stickers now is the Salt Life sticker. That's the equivalent of it.
Yeah,
now.
There you go. That'll work. That'll work. Exactly. Exactly. And I was hoping. Well, so anyway, I'd always been a softball guy. I'd always played ball, and still had that brandy junkie thing in my head. And, it was always a desire of mine to develop a brand of some kind. And, I didn't even have to do that because, I already had a successful family business to be in. But, I'm one of those guys that always has 2 jobs.
Always got to be doing something.
80s. Well, in the 80s, I worked in the pest business and I was a professional club DJ. So, I mean, I've always had 2 jobs and my whole life. I sold motorcycles. I worked construction all while doing this stuff. So, it wasn't surprising that I would be looking for something else to do. And then, because I'm this technical tinker guy, in 2000, I bought a Worth PST bat. I'm not. Maybe people don't even know that because it's it's so long ago. But it was. I got
a lot of OGs in here. In here.
You would know, but I don't know about the listening people. But,
hey, they'll be fine.
It was an exterior shell bat, metal bat with a frame of metal with a shell pressed on it, and it was real expensive. And the one I got just didn't hit well. And this was before like bat shaving and all this stuff was out and all that rolling. None of that stuff existed.
Well, composite bats weren't a thing yet.
They weren't even happened yet.
Yeah.
Shortly, but they didn't. And so I had this bat, and I'm hitting it in the winter because it was designed for all weather and all that. And it just sounded like a dud. It was heavy as hell for the weight. And my friends had one that had been hitting in the winter that I was hitting with, and theirs sounded entirely different. And it noticed what looked like the end cap was starting to come out of the bat. And I could feel that their shell was a little out of round. And that thing had a nice boo sound when you hit it.
Yeah.
But mine went thud. And I'm like, you know what? This thing sucks. I'm going to freaking take it apart and see why it sucks. Because I didn't care. I wasn't gonna, I wasn't gonna hit it. It was dead. It was sucked. So I took it apart, and when I looked at the way it was put together, I thought, because it was 100% interference fit, which meant the exterior shell was 100% in contact with the frame that it was sitting on. And I thought about the old DeMarini bats that had gap technology, and I said, you know what? What if I take this shell and I just machine like 5 thousandths out of the inside wall in the center of it? And I left the end cap end and the taper end the proper thickness. I didn't really realize what I was doing. What I was making was an arch in the shell.
Yeah.
And then when I put it back together and went out and hit it, it rang like a bell. It was like, boo! And I'm like, that's more like it. And the thing flew for miles. So I back then it was a really early time in the internet. We're talking 21 years ago. The only place that any softball was talked about was this page called the More Board. And I announced my findings of that PST test that I did on that More board. I was like, wow, this thing really kind of woke up as a result of this modification. And I was flooded with requests from Canada to Germany, all across the United States. Could you do my PST? Could you do my PST? And I was like, you know what? All right, I'll try that. Fast forward, the reviews started popping up on the More board, and they were really, really working out, and people were like, oh my God, these bats are so hot, they're evil. Get your bat evil. Okay. Get your bat evilized by Bobby Bugs. And I was like, So listen, I'm a legit business guy. Okay. I'm not a big like black marketeer. So, making juice bats, cut bats was never really set home well with me. It wasn't something that I wanted to be known for,
right,
or be like that. I knew that wasn't who I was, my future was. So, it was a little troubling, but, and then the More board got kind of pissed off about it because it became real popular. Like I became a rage about that stuff. People were talking about it every day. My email was just blowing up every day. So I started my own message board called the Shop of Evil. And it was, to promote the PST work and other things. And while I did that, back then, again, it was internet was kind of a fringe thing still. I had like 1,800 registered users of my site in like 6 months. So, there were a lot of people watching me for, at that time for the numbers.
I mean, yeah, 1,800 on a message board back in the day, that's in that time is a lot.
Right, because people had barely even had internet. Shit, I think it was like Netscape and such, and modems making that. Like,
somebody picks up the phone, you're done.
Right. So I mean, it was really like early dark times, and I had my thing going there, and we were doing well, and I was doing like Jesus, PSTs were crazy. It was like all the time. Every time I'd show up to my office, there'd be boxes there. So I imported some bat bags from China. I had a connect out of the West Coast that was able to get me bat bags with evil put on the bottom of them. Like, we're talking about 2002 maybe. And then I come up with this idea to build what I called an evil ball, a ball that flew farther through improved design, but was still legal for play and had association certification. And when I did that, I posted that up on the Shop of Evil. little did I know, the people down in New York, Trump softball, John Stott, and even Kevin, the tattoo guy, was watching me because I was making a lot of noise and people were talking a lot about me. And they saw me, shit, the guy's already built his own backpack and brought it in. And he knows how to source shit from China. He's going to have a ball. He's already got people all across the country that believe in him. He's going to become our competition.
Okay.
Let's reach out to him and see if maybe we can cut a deal with him. So in March of 2003, I drove down to New York and met with John Stott and Kevin worked there then, and Eric Jacobs was a super guy, worked there. And I met with them, and I met with John Stott, and I presented my concept of ideas and evil ball stuff, and John Stott loved it, and he's like, let's do this. I want to do it. Let's do it. And so that was March of 2003, and I drive home, and I don't know anything about trademarks or business like that. I'm a bug guy. What the hell do I know? So I immediately went onto the uspto.gov site and registered Evil Sports because I was like, well, these guys might steal it from me. I don't know them that well. So I registered the brand in 2003 in March is when I started it. And, John Stott loved the idea. And, I said to him, I said, bro, I appreciate you getting behind me, but you really don't know who you're getting involved with here. And he's looked at me funny. I'm like, I'm not going to stop. I'm going to push this thing to the limit. It's going to go, and I'm going to keep pushing it. I'm not just going to sit around and collect checks. That's not who I am. I'm going to push this thing. So I said, you better be prepared. And he chuckled. He said, well, I just got to make one deal with you. If it becomes too much of a headache, we're going to meet and agree to shut it down. I said, absolutely. We both run businesses. We don't need more headaches.
Sure.
But the only headache was keeping ahead of the demand of the product because I pushed the hell out of it. I went all over the country. Back then, I used to do tournaments with the original, the guy that started Boomba, Greg Miller.
Okay.
His name was Boomer, and he started this fun softball pant thing with these crazy striped pants and all this other stuff. And me and him used to do like some tournaments out in Vegas together. And so I went all over the place to promote Evil and gave away, I can't even tell you how many hundreds of thousands of dollars of softballs I've given away over the years just because I wanted people to try them. Hey, listen, if you don't like them, throw them away. If you like them, evilsports.com and get some. So, I did that. And next thing you know, John Stott's freaking out. Not that he wants to cancel, but that, holy cow, Bugs, your brand is killing it. When we bring in a container, 50% of the container never even makes it to the shelf. It goes right out in back orders.
That's crazy.
So it in the late 2000s, man, we couldn't even keep up. We would be out of stock at ASA balls in August. And I'm like, guys, man, we got to stay ahead of this inventory because, we have really a defined selling season of like April to October, if you will. Uh-huh. And, any blank inventory at that time is just lost revenue. So, they had it, like Eric kind of got about it. Once Kevin left, Eric took over the order. He started like adding 10 and 15% to each year's order, just more because we needed them. And it just became a really popular thing. I'm kind of proud that my whole dream of having a brand came true. And, it was a quality brand and people believed in it and they still do. And, that's something that, you feather in your cap, I guess, it's become a real difficult thing now with, supply chain issues and, customs issues and the whole, shut down the country and then try to reopen it and watch where the bottlenecks become. I don't think anybody ever could have foreseen the supply chain issues that a shutdown like we went through can cause because, I've been out of BP balls most since like November. I just got some BP 52s in. And we blew, I think we had 1,400 dozen, and we've already thrown through half of those already.
Really?
We're waiting for the Rockets were supposed to be in July. Since November, we've been out of them. We're supposed to be in July. They're not going to be here till August. ASA 52s we're out of. I have a few special blends left. It's really become a nightmare to try to get product.
Real quick, I had somebody ask me, is the ASA 52 special blend, is that a stamped ball or no?
Yeah, but don't get too excited because there's not many left. There's only like 30 dozen left, and it's not the same now. John Stott sold Anaconda, and it's been sold twice since, and now it's owned by BSN out of Dallas, and they really don't give a shit about softball. I mean, to be honest with you, and I'm saying it publicly here, and if somebody shows it to them, I really don't care because they don't care. So it's been difficult to get them to understand the market and the customers that we deal with and why we became so popular, because we catered to our customers and we brought in what they wanted and needed.
Sure.
And would carry it and meter it out as they needed. And then we're not allowed to do that anymore through BSN. So, I've got some decisions to make as to whether or not I just be the guy that I never wanted to be, and which is sit back and just collect a check and not push and not, advocate for growth and development of new products like I've always been.
Right.
Just sit back and just take a check and shut up, which is really not who I am, or take it away from BSN and restart it myself with a warehouse and, $500,000 investment in product, and have to be on the schedule of China shipping and, logistics issues. And, the big part of the problem is not just the shutdown here, but what people don't realize is February is a lost month for making anything in China. They shut down for their Chinese New Year's early February.
Mm-hmm. They shut down.
Right. No, like a lot of people live in the factory complex.
Yeah.
Okay. They live right on the property where the work is. And they eat there, they live there, they work there. I don't want to get into the whole work labor thing and all that stuff, because I have no say in that. But
sure.
Be that as it may, it was efficient to get work done. But they shut down for a whole month of February. Everybody actually leaves the complex. So nothing gets shipped or built in February. So look at the supply chain issue here when we shut down and how long it's taken for it to get back. Every February that happens there. So if you don't have all your stuff booked in July for next year, what you're going to need, what you're going to want, having it built and having it on the water, by December, January, you're going to get stuck for a couple months without product, because it takes 30 days plus. Well, it used to take 30 days to get a container here and get it to you. Now it's 6 to 7 weeks to get a container here. And that's got nothing to do with the shutdown. That's all the backup at customs and all that other stuff. So, think about it. That's 2 months. Call it 2 months. And the selling season is what? 5, 6?
Sure. So you've almost got to order a season in advance a little bit then, huh?
You really do. You really have to be ahead of it. And then you're talking, 20,000 plus dozen softballs. And that's just the Evil brand. I mean, that's the stuff that we do normally. If we were going to do other things for somebody else, if I was lucky enough to say land the senior softball deal, I had a order for them too, and I'm going to have their stuff in advance.
So I had somebody ask that question here in the chat. I had somebody ask that question here in the chat. It said, ask him if he plans on doing an exclusive senior ball, 44 375, or are you just going to keep stamping them ASA?
That's another BSN problem. I had a microcell. I've had microcell design, ISA, and just a straight Evil MP Evil -Y 44 375 official softball microcell ball. They deleted a lot of my SKUs. They didn't see any value in them. They didn't produce enough revenue per year for them to see as viable inventory options. Again, they don't understand the market. Senior softball has been scrambling like crazy because of the shortage and, people not stocking enough and, the shutdowns at the factory. They've been screwed. They haven't had any balls or to supply at their tournaments. And that senior softball, that microcell design is a unique ball. It has ridiculous performance in heat.
Dude, they are a blast.
It's the only one like it. It's the only one like it that can do that.
We've got some in our BP bag, and we've got a ton of other Evils and stuff scattered in there too. But if you hit the same bag of balls enough times, you just know what that ball looks like when it comes out of the bag. And I think that those balls never make it out of the field sometimes, mainly because we just swing so hard trying to hit them that we just miss them.
Right. Well, it's not necessarily what you see coming at you, but what you hear when it hits the barrel.
Oh, man.
It's like, oh, that must have been a microcell. I mean, I'm real in tune to that because I have a ridiculous ear for music over the years. But not just that, but I know the sound of what is what. And but that I'd really like to, and I'm hoping to get the microcell ball back on the shelf. Just the non-sanctioned 44-375 official softball one, that microcell design one, because I know that if senior softball runs into a bump, that's a perfect substitute for them to jump to, and they won't have this upheaval that they had this year with their participants pissed off.
Sure.
Because they play in some pretty significant heat throughout the summer, and it eats the hell out of a regular ball. It just kills the performance. And these guys are used to hitting senior bats with a stable core ball that goes a mile, and they're not. They're hitting, stuff that's very, very susceptible to heat and thermal degradation. And it was a tough thing for senior softball. I felt bad, and normally in the old days I would have had a substitute for them that they could have run with and kept everybody happy. And we've still got some talks and discussions right there. In fact, I'm out in my warehouse right now, and there's a couple NP Evil -Ys right here, microcells, official softball.
Yeah, I know where you can send those.
Yeah, I did send you a couple, didn't
you
I?
Did. Yeah, you sent me that little care package. That was a good one. We've
Let me see. Let me throw this one at the ground and see what it sounds like.
Oh.
Yeah, that's a good ball.
Yeah,
that's what we need to be able to supply. I don't know. Like I say, I'm at a crossroads. I'm also not a young guy. I'm 58. Really, do I really want to restart a whole new business company brand with warehousing and inventory management software and dealing with customs and potentially having to fly to China and go to the factory? God, no. Jesus,
sure.
At my age, so I really want to mess with that at this point in my life.
No, you want to go to your house. You want to go to your house in Florida twice a month. That's what you want to do.
Well, don't tell everybody, but you're exactly right. That's exactly what I want to do, especially during the winter. Hold on a sec. Do you have tips for that?
What's that?
Is there any? No, I'm talking about one of my guys who's going to do a job. I don't know. Hold on. Give me 1 second there.
Yeah, you're good.
Is this going to fit on there?
Well, guys, what an adventure. This is it's a lot of fun. I've spent a lot of time on the phone with Bobby over the years. He's always got some good insight. I'm going to have to give him a little bit of crap about this this whole DJ thing. I didn't know he used to be a DJ. So I have to rib him a little bit about that.
Keep going. I mean, that's
Oh, you're back. You're back. Okay.
Yeah. Listen, Ricky, I'm still deep into music. My son has got the musical bug from me. I'm very musically inclined, and I can sing, and I've always been really close to music, and that's what made me to be a good club DJ, because I understand the flow of music, and I was great at picking hits, and I could mix, not like scratchety scratch crap, but like some of the club mixes you hear. I could do that, and I did it live with vinyl, live on the spot. So there's a lot of math in music. It's all 8s, 16s, and 32s. Anybody that knows music knows that, especially if you know dance or club music. And even at just bass music, it's all bass 4/4. So once you understood the math, and you could anticipate the changes by the numbers, and you found things that sounded similar, you could mix them out and not have people get off the dance floor. So that was a real rewarding time for me, because I got to sing as well on stage at nightclubs and with the bands that would work with.
I've known you for, gosh, I mean, it's 2021. I've known you for at least 6 or 7 years, and I had no clue you ever had you ever a DJ at one point. I'm looking at you. I'm looking at you like a whole different man right now.
Hey, that was 1979 to 1985. And again, the two job mentality. Like in 79, 80, that was like a summer side job, or like my friend, this kid I became friends with in my town. it was called DL Disco, and they would do the school dances. I don't even know if that's a thing anymore, but back when I was, young and in high school, there were dances, throughout the year, different types, different themes and such. And, a lot of times just girls on one side, guys on the other. It's a little more cooler today, but, and we would come in there with our equipment. Well, I was a roadie. I got paid $25 a night, which was great for me in 1979. And I'd be on stage, I didn't know how to DJ, but I learned. And I ended up being the one out of all my friend Brian and his buddies that were doing it, the most musically inclined one. So it kind of like all of a sudden I was the guy because my mixes worked. I wasn't tripping people on the dance floor like the rest of them. And then because of that, I put my name out there and got a job as a club DJ where I was the Friday night, Saturday night guy, and they had a band. So I would do the band breaks. So I had it easy. I came in and did like an hour of music early, and then the bands would play 40-minute sets, and I would do 20-minute breaks for them. And I would just smash the dance floor for 20 minutes. And then I'd go back to drinking and being an idiot and hanging out with the girls. And then, 40 minutes, but, about 35 minutes in, I'd get back up in my booth and I'd queue up my next set and have my records ready to go and boom, knock it out for 20 minutes and then go back. It was an easy gig, and it was, it was fun. And, I got my musical fix, and then I got to know the bands and they were cool with me. And I'm like, yo, you're going to do this. I know your sets, man. You're doing this song. You think I could come up and sing it? And they're all freaking out going, sure, we work all night. Let someone else sing this. They were excited for it.
Right.
And it was always like a hoot because if it was bad, everybody would laugh. But it wasn't bad because I was musical. So it was good. And they'd be like, damn, DJ can sing.
Love it. I just love it. So we've had a few questions here in the chat as we've kind of rolling on here. Just want to bounce a few of them off of you. So I know, you're having availability stuff, and I know you mentioned at one point you were trying to get something going with a Pro-Am. Have you had any chance to put any thoughts into a Pro-Am softball to kind of keep up with the U-Trip?
Yeah, absolutely. So one of my problems with BSN is that they don't want to increase any more what they call SKUs. They don't want any more item numbers in the softballs that they have, and they don't want any redundancy. That's why they yanked my microcell, because they already had it with senior softball. So, everything I deal with them is a battle, and I get a lot of lip service and not any action. So I'm going to call them up and I'm going to say, listen, you've deleted a number of my SKUs. That means I can add one in place of the deleted. I need a U-Trip Pro-M ball. That's where they're going. Let's build it. I need it. Build it.
Yeah.
And but you know what, dude? I hate to, I never let people beat me. I'll fight and fight and fight if I know it's right. And if I feel it's right, I'm not going to lay down. I'm just going to keep battling. But you know what? They've just grinding me down to the point where I don't even want to fight with them anymore, because they're just going to say, well, Bob, that's a good idea. Well, Bob, we'll look into that. Well, Bob, and nothing happens. Sure. I don't hear another word. And I'm just so tired of it, man. When people don't give a shit about you or about what you care about, after a while you just say, screw it, I'm not fighting anymore. So, I'm going to get with them. It's always frustrating because I got to hold my tongue because I want to tell them, look, I know you don't care. It's obvious.
Right.
But, so yes, I want to get long-winded version of that is I plan to try to convince them that it's needed and that we need one and I want one. But again, I'm also doing a feasibility study right now with some friends of mine that are logistics and shipping and all that stuff. Real smart guys, way smarter than me. Numbers guys, warehousing costs and all this other stuff. Doing a quick analysis of whether or not, it would be financially feasible and a good move for me to take it away and do it myself.
Gotcha. So in which case you could bring the Pro-Am in. I do know you dabble with a little bit of playing softball and that kind of thing. Have you messed with the Pro-Ams and the new U-Trip bats at all? Or are you just sticking to your senior stuff?
No, unfortunately, I have gotten to hit the new Fireflex 240.
Uh-huh.
It's pretty damn good, but have to balance that with I'm all over the map, because when I'm in Florida, I get to hit Adidas senior bats, and they're just foolish tennis rackets, and I love them. They just a tennis racket. Anywhere you hit it, the thing goes. But then when I play up here in the league, most of the league I play in, because I'm getting up there. I'm 58, and all y'all youngsters out there that are blasting around the bases and chucking the ball 90 miles an hour, enjoy that time, brothers. Enjoy that time, because you know what? You may not do anything different, and then you'd be like me at 58 and barely throw it across the diamond from shortstop. And running first to third is something you actually have to think about. Do I really want to do that? Because how much am I going to be in pain tomorrow?
Right.
I mean, where you just blasted around the base, didn't think twice about it, and they're like, somebody doesn't feel good, I'll run for you. Yeah, now you're like, I ain't running for nobody.
Yeah.
So that being said, I play a senior ball thing here, but up here the senior ball is ASA 52s and ASA bats. So I don't really get a chance to fool with much of that U-Trip stuff. There's a league I play in as a fill-in. Well, I'm on the roster, but I just don't want to beat myself up too much playing in it.
Sure.
Where it's actually, I sold them the senior softball microcell ball before they were out of stock. I was able to get some and sell them to them, and they use the Fireflex bats, and it's just a launch pad. It's a launch pad. And then in the lower fields, they use Classic M SYs, which are curves, and the same Fireflex bats, because they had too much bat chirping about, oh, that bat's cut, this bat's cut, that's not lit. So they supply 26, 27, 28 Fireflex end load, nice. the black and blue one.
Yeah.
And that's what they do. They just field bats, so you don't have to chirp about nothing.
Gotcha. So you talked about the Thunder SY. I actually had another question about that too. Why is it that the synthetic covers are so much different than a composite or a leather cover? What's the difference there?
All right, so synthetic is pretty much polyurethane. Okay. It's PU polyurethane. It's plastic, and plastic is pliable in weather. It gets soft, it gets gooey. It absorbs some of the energy from the bat when it gets like that.
Oh, okay.
And the other problem is that a classic M ball, 40 cores got to be the most. The lower number of the COR rating, the higher variability you get by temperature. So thermal degradation is big time problem with 40 core and 44 core. Not as bad with 47. And not as bad with 52. That's why, that ball plays well in the heat, because it's already bouncy. The compression doesn't get as variable. When you get a 40 core poly, the compression is very subject to, falling off. And again, polyurethane core too is very insulated. You think about, they use polyurethane to insulate houses, insulation, because it's temperature stable. So, and it'll hold or maintain temperature. So when that core of that ball, every time you hit a ball, the temperature of it goes up from the heat energy from the bat. Okay. So every time you hit it, you put a few degrees of temperature into that ball. It's sitting there at 90 degrees in the sun. That ball becomes 90 degrees and it decompresses. And that's what happens when, you're saying, oh, this thing hits like a pillow. That's what causes us to build the microcell. Me and Kevin were in North Carolina at a Hooters tournament that we sponsored, and it was 100 degrees and humid, and they were using the Evil ASA ball, and it sounded like they were hitting a box of Kleenex, literally. And I'm like, Kevin, man, we got to do something about this. It's awful. So that's about the time we started working on getting the microcell ball done, and that's why. Because it just works better.
So that would explain why it seems like a synthetic cover ball gets extremely hard in the cold, because the whole thing is hard.
Exactly. That cover stiffens up way, way more than a leather, because the leather doesn't really have that heat pliability, or even a composite leather.
Sure. Okay, so that makes sense, because that's kind of back to talking about the 240s a little bit. The 240 is rumored to be basically a 44 375 ball. I don't know that anybody's ever released any actual specs of the ball. Maybe you could get some insight to that as you get to producing one.
And which one?
The Pro M, the U-Trip Pro M. And that's one thing that I have noticed in hitting the Pro-Am is it does really well in the heat. If it's a 44, 375, like like they say it is, that would explain why it does so much better in the heat. We were at a tournament last summer, and they were hitting Pro-Ams at one complex and Classic M's at another, and it was night and day different. I mean, just night and day different.
Yeah,
so that explanation makes a lot of
absolutely.
difference with your talking about how the 40 core is more susceptible to the heat than the 44. That's a really good explanation of why there would be such a variance in the balls in the heat.
Well, you're also talking about a ball that's closer to 300 than 325 in a Classic M. So you're talking about 50 to 75 pounds of compression more to hold the stability of it more. And 44 poly is a little less temperature sensitive than 40. So you're getting a little better compression right off the bat, and that's going to help you right there.
Sure.
But again, don't kid yourself. That Pro-Am ball in the Florida heat can still turn to a turd.
Oh, I'm sure.
A lot of it's about how it's stored. How well it's stored.
Yeah, and that's one thing I always try and make sure right before I go hit. And this is something, if you guys have BP balls at home, this is something you need to do for the sake of your BP balls, because it's gonna help the longevity of the ball. It's gonna help it last longer, not turn into a ball of lumps and everything else. Bring them inside before you go hit, even if it's for an hour or two. Just bring the bag inside and set it down. If I know I'm hitting and I can stop and get my balls from the house, I'll just bring them inside and set them next to the kitchen counter, and then stop and get them on my way through and go on. There's so much to be said for how softballs are stored.
Yeah, let me add to that I know it's a pain in the ass and everybody wants their stuff in the back of their truck or vehicle or whatever. But really, take your BP bag, leave it in the basement when you're not using it. Just put it down where it's the coolest spot of your house and leave it there, because it takes a while for the temperature to change on those things. Mm-hmm. That insulative property of that core is going to hold temperature. So leave it down in the basement when you're not using it. You'll be much happier when you go out and hit. There's no doubt. I mean, rolling around the back of the truck or in the back of your car at this time of the year, you're going to be they're all going to be at 90 degrees when you go to hit them.
Oh, yeah, if not more. I mean, that's the guys that show up to league night after their game balls, their 52, 300 game balls, have been in their trunk all day, and they're like, oh, these balls sound like crap. Like, dude, any ball you leave in that trunk is going to sound like crap. I mean,
yeah,
that's just the reality of it. So I did have one more question here. I do have some. I have a pretty decent following in the Canadian area, and I have a guy wanting to know: can you get Evils in Canada? Do you ship to Canada?
BSN stopped us from shipping to Canada.
Okay.
So they got another. Oh no, Bob, we can't do that. Oh well, Bob. Well, Bob. It's a big pain in the ass. I love Canada. Nothing makes me more happier than to have a shipment of balls put up there and sold throughout the country. But there's some political stuff, not as far as America versus U.S., but inside Canada, some deals made with certain people that control softball. And I'm gonna tell you right now that I build my business on the merit of my product and the merit of the services that we provide on the other business, not on side deals with handshakes and checks. I don't do business that way. I do business on people want my stuff because it's good and because I'm a legit guy that provides a product. So Canada's a little more difficult. There's definitely some behind the scenes stuff that I'm not willing to get involved in. So
sure.
Yeah, it'll be difficult for me. All I can say is find yourself a mule. I'll send them to the border and you can get them across. It's on you.
Or even just like a retailer that would sell the Evils would be a decent way, and maybe hope they ship to Canada.
The tax, man, the tax that Canada charges on in stuff coming in is prohibitive. That's the problem.
True.
It becomes I can tell you, I'd have to spend a ton of money. I'd have to put like a 20-foot container of balls up there, and I couldn't imagine what kind of tariff I would pay to bring them in.
It's wild, man. It's kind of a bummer too. I know that the Evil BP balls are pretty popular. They hit 52s a lot up there in Canada anyway. So
we have what they want.
Like
we have what they need.
Right.
I mean, BP 52 is a great seller. It's giant. I say I'm sorry to all the people listening today that we didn't have them for so long. It was out of my hands, and I would never have let that happen if I had more say in the situation that I'm in right now, which I've already illustrated my displeasure with.
Sure. Hey man, we're here to listen. That's all we're here for you.
Yeah, well, here's the thing you probably learned today. I'll tell you the truth. I got nothing else but the truth in my life. I'm not a religious person or anything like that, but I don't have to look over my shoulder. What I tell you is the truth, and what I'll say is the truth. And if you don't like it, well, that's it. I'm not changing it.
Sure. Yeah. I mean, and that's one thing I've always given credit to. Anytime your name comes up in a conversation anywhere, is he's going to tell you like it is. Like, you may not want to hear it, but he's going to tell you how it is. Going back to the softball fans day, somebody was like, "What's that guy's problem?" I mean, it's like, don't ask if you don't want to know.
Right. Because, I'm not candy coating it. There's no candy here. The truth is the truth. And you know what? I sleep well at night knowing that. I just tell the truth, and, that's all I have to do. If it doesn't fit your agenda, well, I mean, you got to make adjustments, because that's just on you.
Sure. So, just circling back to just a little bit of softball stuff here, wrapping up the show. So, Bob Russell has to swing one softball bat for the rest of forever. Just one bat. What's the one bat you're picking?
12-inch barrel, Adidas Melee, black with the orange writing. It's the only bat in my career that I hit 4 home runs in a row with on a 300-foot fence.
They're good, man. They are so good. I know you.
And I'm old enough, so I can say that.
So you sent me one of your I believe it was one of the original Melees. May I take that back? Maybe it was the Melee 2. I can't remember.
The black and green one.
Yes.
Oh yeah, that's my second bat. The black and green 13-inch barrel.
I still tell people to this day. Somebody's like, we're swinging in an outlaw tournament. What should I get, man? You find yourself one of those.
Yeah.
They're
one
absurd.
piece,
absolutely
original
absurd.
Green, black and green. Well, that was the first one I had gotten. I got the black and green one. And back then, around here, there was one little league. It was like a small, like 5 or 6 team senior league that I bring microcells to, and it was senior bats. Everybody would hit their ultras and all that other stuff. And man, I was just freaking popping off with that green bat. It was foolish.
Yeah, dude, the thing was a blast. I know you sent it to me in a not so warm part of the year, and even hitting the 52s I was hitting with it felt like 44s. It was just absurd.
Yeah. That's why I call it a tennis racket. But yeah, I mean, I get to hit that down. If you go down to my place in Naples right now, there's a green Adidas. Sounds like a Maraca. It's got so many hits on it. And there's the black and orange short barrel in the bag there. And that's what I go to play with. And, it was a blast that day. I mean, I don't talk about that day where I hit 4 home runs very often, because people are like, oh yeah, sure. Yeah. But I was playing last week, and I played against the guy here in the senior league, and he's like, hey, yeah, you're the evil ball guy, right? He goes, I played against you in Naples. And I'm like, oh shit, man. I don't remember. He goes, yeah, you hit 4 home runs that day. I was like, oh damn, you were there for that.
So yeah.
And I gotta go, come over here. Tell my guys.
Yeah, here's my witness right here.
Go, you guys know this guy. They call him Robo. I didn't know why they call him that. And I'm like, listen, he's got to tell you something. We played against each other in Naples. Tell him what's up.
So that is kind of cool. You go down there to Naples, and you basically, it's a pickup kind of deal, right? Essentially, everybody just kind of shows up.
Well,
and picks up
I'm not in the league.
Game going.
I'm not in the league because I'm not there enough. And
sure.
To be quite honest with you, they're a little too serious now at this point in my life. I don't want to have to play softball every Tuesday, Thursday.
Sure.
I don't want to have to. I want to be able to just do what I want to do at this point in my life. So they have their league. It starts like the 1st of January and it goes to March. But beyond that, they have really organized pickup. And I got to shout out to Collier County Senior Softball and also Joey Ball down there. Big shout outs to you guys for giving us a place to play and organizing it. I was blown away my first time going down there to Collier County Senior Softball. There were 75 guys there on a Tuesday morning at 8 o'clock.
Holy cow.
Okay, they got 4 fields, and I didn't know what I was getting into. I just heard about it, and I showed up, and I think it was like, they didn't make me pay to be there. Yeah, man, they rate you major player, AAA, or rec, because you got dudes that are like 80 years old still out there playing.
Sure.
So I was, lucky enough to get rated as a major player. I don't know if I still be rated that now, but this was 3-4 years ago. they do an organized pickup. They basically everybody gets to hit BP like 10 swings, and then they call everybody in and they name a manager, 2 managers, and then they give the guy a sheet and they read off the names of the people, and you go to that third base dugout or first base dugout, and the guy who does this, Ned is his name. He asks you what positions you play, and the guy makes up lineups for these games, and they're all like major players or whatever. And you go and you play a game, and sometimes you'll switch it up. They're like, hey man, I'm playing short. Does anybody else, or I'd rather play third. Does anybody else want to play short? Whatever. It's all cool like that. And you go out there and you play a competitive game with really good players, and they're into it, man. They're and I'm coming down there. Sometimes I haven't swung a bat in 2-3 months, so they're not getting full Bobby Bugs as his best. But I'm able to compete because everybody's 50s and up. So
sure,
I'm really thankful to have that opportunity to go down there and play a really well played, high quality game on amazing fields with microcell ball or close to it, and senior bats, and just well played softball. And the best part of it is I'll show up and they'll all know me. Hey, Bugs, what's up, man? They're all cool to me. I feel like I belong when I show up. Like I said, big props to both Joey Ball and Collier County senior softball, because they just make it so much fun and easy to show up and play when you haven't played. And the quality of the ball's good. The guys are cool. Just like any other thing, you get your guys that are a little too serious about it. I just laugh.
Hey, that's all you can do.
But it's awesome. I'm blessed to be able to have that outlet when I'm there.
Yeah, it's kind of given me the idea to maybe this fall start maybe like somewhat of a pickup league, you might say, basically a kind of a super draft thing. You having a group of guys show up and say, all right, we're splitting up the teams this way this week, and going out and playing a couple of games and going on about your night, because that's all everybody wants. Everybody wants to get a couple of games in and go home. I mean, perfect way to do it.
Hey, Ricky, if there's no other questions, I got to run because I have a 12 o'clock that I'm not at.
Hey, perfect, because we usually do about an hour, so that'll wrap up. Hey, listen, I really appreciate your time. We'll do it again soon. We got so much more to talk about. They don't even know, do they?
Nah, Ricky, listen, big fan of BP Hero, bro. Thanks for all you do, and I appreciate being on with you today.
Absolutely, man. Thanks. Have a good one.
We'll talk again.
There it is, kids and coaches. The evil one. He is a busy man, and he has a lot of stories. I really enjoy the time I get to spend talking to him. That hour that we spend on the phone right there is easily doable. We do an hour conversation, it seems like, all the time. It's a lot of fun. He's been a lot of fun through the years. He's done a lot for the channel, whether it be giving us prototype stuff to try out, keeping us supplied with good softballs. He has done a lot for this channel and done a lot for us, and done a lot for the softball community as well, especially, like I said, it seems like I'm always defaulting back to softball fans and in the forums and that kind of thing. And he was very active then. He was always willing to take care of people every time somebody needed something. And he's definitely one of those guys, you scratch his back, he'll scratch yours. And that's kind of how things still should be, and it's not always that way. But he's a guy that will take care of you if you take care of him. So thanks to everybody. I'm going to go ahead and wrap it up here. I got a couple things I need to get done before I got to go to bed. Love working nights, not. But thanks to everybody for stopping in. I see some new names in the chat, some guys that haven't been in here in a while. Appreciate you guys for stopping in. We will catch you at 10 a.m. Central next Thursday. Let me see if I can find us another guest. He might be here in the chat. You just never know. So thanks to everybody. Swing hard in case you hit it. BP Hero, catch you next Thursday.